Another year for the MCU in the books. What's going on, guys? I'm Chris and welcome back to another video. So today I'm giving you my ranking of all the 2022 MCU projects, including the movies, the Disney Plus shows, and the Disney Plus special presentations. There's 9 2022 MCU projects, so here's my ranking from worst to best. And before I get into this thing, be sure to hit that like button, comment down below your favorite and least favorite projects from the MCU this year, and be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell to be notified for all my future videos, reviews, rankings, all that good stuff. Alright, so coming in dead last for me is She-Hulk. This shouldn't really surprise anybody. I felt like this show was a chore to get through. Sure, it had the return of Matt Murdock, which was awesome to see. He's a great character for the Netflix show, and I'm very excited for Daredevil Born Again, but the humor just didn't work for me here. It was doing too much with the fourth wall breaking. It had a few moments that I enjoyed, but overall, didn't like the formula of this show, the structure, none of it just wasn't for me. But not much better than She-Hulk is Thor Love and Thunder, which I actually think is the worst MCU movie to date. The humor is a complete miss here, as it's trying to do the most from start to finish. Taika lost complete control of the Thor franchise here, in my opinion, because I liked what he did with Ragnarok. It sort of revamped the character, and I thought the humor worked there, but here, every single line is comedic, and it just misses the mark entirely for me. It's almost a parody of what Thor was at one point, and it's just sad to see. I think they wasted Christian Bale as Gore the God Butcher here. He had not a lot to do in this movie, unfortunately, and Love and Thunder is just terrible, in my opinion. I've watched this movie twice, and I think I'm set for life. I don't think I ever want to go back and rewatch Love and Thunder. I'll give credit where credit's due. The soundtrack was a bop, especially when they used Welcome to the Jungle, but other than that, what a miss this movie was. Next up for me is I Am Groot, and you heard that right. 5 shorts about Groot are better than a full-length show and a movie from the MCU. In total, I Am Groot was about 18 to 20 minutes long, and I just had fun with it. And it was just cute, it was heartwarming, it was nice to see Groot and Rocket in one of the episodes, and Groot against this tiny civilization. Not a lot of meat to the bone, they were fun little stories, and Groot is a character that we all kind of find adorable, along the lines of, you know, Grogu, Baby Yoda, if you will. I just enjoyed it, you know, it was fun. I watched it in my bed when I woke up. I was like, oh yeah, I Am Groot came out. And I watched it like for 20 minutes right when I woke up. So it was cool, and I was actually more entertained by this than a full-length movie and 9 episodes of a TV show. So now we're getting into hot take territory. Next up for me is Moon Knight, a show that I find wildly overrated because I see this as like the highest rated MCU project for a bunch of people, the best MCU show for a bunch of people, and I don't see it like that at all. Now, Oscar Isaac is fantastic in this role. He's playing a dude with multiple personalities. His energy is constantly having to change and readapt to whichever personality he's in, and Oscar Isaac is one of the best actors working today. There's no denying that. He carries the show, in my opinion. But aside from the fact that his performance is great, and I look at everything else this show has to offer, it's pretty generic, just like a lot of the other MCU projects that came out this year. Arthur Harrow, another wildly overhyped villain in the MCU, just because it's Ethan Hawke, and Ethan Hawke is having fun in the role, and he's, you know, playing this menacing character, doesn't mean he's great. His motives are very weak, in my opinion, and it all leads up to a 6th episode with this big CGI battle in the sky between giant Egyptian gods, which just didn't really do it for me. The show also makes a decision in the 4th episode that completely flips the script on its head. For better or worse, you decide in the comments down below. I don't love where it went because I felt like the show wrapped up in a way that didn't really give me any clarity, and with no season 2 in sight, it looks like, that's pretty frustrating because I'm all here for an ambiguous ending, but it was such an abrupt ending, it was kind of jarring to me. I was like, that's how this show's gonna end? I liked all of episode 4 when they were like on the hunt, they were in the pyramids. It felt very treasure hunter to me, an adventure, and I was down for that. It was funny when there would be an action scene and Moon Knight and Mr. Knight would be switching places, but there wasn't enough of that. I felt like this show was lacking a lot of what needed to make it great, which again, just makes it kind of a surface level, fine MCU project, but I don't think it deserves to be put up on a pedestal. Next up for me is Miss Marvel, a show that started out really strong. You know, it had this coming of age vibe with Kamala and her friends in New Jersey, hanging out and just being kids. It felt very Spider-Man Homecoming and something I could get on board with, and I was really in for like the first 2 or 3 episodes, and then it kind of really shifted gears, and there was a whole entire episode that was like a flashback and gave us this great history, and it was like, I get what you're trying to go for here, but this doesn't need to be an entire episode. And then it just kind of went off the rails near the end, sort of brought it back home at the end, but it was a little too inconsistent for me. If this show would have just taken place in high school from start to finish, I would have enjoyed it a lot more than it becoming almost like a globe-trotting event at times. I am excited to see more of Miss Marvel, you know, in the Marvels and her role in the future MCU, because she brings a lot of energy. I think Iman Vellani is great casting, but I think the show started out hot and then fizzled out like a lot of MCU shows tend to do. Next is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, a movie that frustrates the hell out of me because I love certain elements. You know, you got the Illuminati scene that was sick to see, the visuals are fantastic, and of course Sam Raimi's back, and it definitely dives into the horror side of the MCU more so than we have seen, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really feel like a Doctor Doctor Strange movie to me. It's almost like Wanda's movie. Like, they should have just made a Wanda solo project and then a Doctor Strange 3 and sort of split the two apart. Again, there's moments to love here, and there is genuine shock value at times, but I just think there are too many clashing ideas here. Does it want to be a Wanda solo project? Does it want to be a movie that introduces different variants and kind of delves further into the multiverse phase of the MCU? Or is it an America Chavez story? There's so much going on, it never really has a clear vision in my opinion, and also, they don't really dive into the multiverse as much as you would expect in a movie called Multiverse of Madness, because they kind of montage through a quick scene that shows all the different multiverses. Like, they're only in a few different multiverses. They're not really showing all of them, and I think that's a massive missed opportunity. Number 3 for me is Black Panther Wakanda Forever, without question the best MCU movie of 2022. I don't love this movie still. When I rewatched this movie, I enjoyed it a lot more than I originally did, because when I first saw it, I was pretty tired. It was late at night. I picked up on a lot more in round 2 and can definitely appreciate that this continues to expand the lore and world building of Wakanda, one of the coolest worlds we have in the MCU. Namor, easily one of the best Phase 4 MCU villains, the way they flesh him out, give him a backstory, really make you feel for him before we see what happens in the third act of this movie. I definitely think certain characters could have had more screen time in this movie, because it definitely feels like it's juggling a lot of supporting characters, and there's not one true lead that really commands the screen and takes control of the movie. But I definitely love the introduction of Riri Williams as Ironheart, an absolute scene stealer for me, and just such a lovable character, and I can't wait to see more of her in her own show. The movie's 2 hours and 40 minutes, which simply put, it doesn't need to be that long. It could have cut out 20 minutes here easily, made it a lot more fine-tuned and just more enjoyable. The movie beautifully deals with the process of grief and grieving over a lost loved one, which is absolutely sad to see at times, and I think it does a great job of tying a bow on the legacy Chadwick Boseman left in the MCU. My runner-up for my favorite 2022 MCU project is the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, which came out today. This is just a bundle of joy when you watch it. It felt like I was getting a big old warm hug when I watched this. It's a great way to welcome in the Christmas season for 2022, and it was fun as hell seeing Drax and Mantis get just drunk off their ass and go on this manhunt for Kevin Bacon to bring him back to Peter Quill, just to try and cheer Peter Quill up and get that holiday spirit back. It's wild at times. It's got some really catchy original Christmas music, and it's just all James Gunn. You can tell he's all over this thing. I laughed a lot more than I have in a long time in the MCU projects here, because while I have critiqued Drax's humor in the MCU in past iterations, especially in Guardians 2, there was genuinely funny moments here. I think the comedic chemistry between Drax and Mantis was on point. There's also some meaningful moments here with animated flashbacks. I won't spoil it if you haven't seen it, but it really had an impact on me, and I think that it made Peter Quill's character arc even stronger in the MCU. We got some Easter eggs to other MCU characters that were just great, and I'll never get sick of seeing the Guardians family together. I'm very stoked for Guardians 3, which comes out in May. I'm sure that will be a bittersweet, super emotional ending to that trilogy. But my personal favorite 2022 MCU project is Werewolf by Night, the first ever Marvel Studios special presentation that came out back in October and is essentially a Halloween special. Michael Giacchino directs it so well because it's creepy, it's atmospheric, it has this isolation feel where all these hunters who are the best at their craft gather to try and win this competition for the Bloodstone. It's like a Hunger Games sort of plot where people are getting picked off left and right. It's suspenseful from beginning to end, and the way that they build up to the final werewolf fight is so well executed. There are multiple shots that were unsettling to me and just made me feel really uneasy, and I just love that Marvel went a bit darker here and definitely broke from the template of MCU Disney Plus content, and honestly MCU content in general, because this is vastly different than all the other projects I just talked about. I hope we see more of Jack soon, but at the same time this functions as a nice little one-off, something I can rewatch every Halloween season, and it was just so damn intriguing to me. This is the kind of content I want from the MCU moving forward, and I think special presentations are definitely the future, because the 2 special presentations from this year are my 2 favorite 2022 MCU projects. But that's just my personal ranking of all the 2022 MCU projects. Definitely let me know yours in the comments down below, and be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to be notified for all my future Marvel-related videos, reaction videos, and all that good stuff. I'm also running a sale on all my merch right now. If you use code FRIDAY in all caps, you can get 30% off your entire order. I have a bunch of different film stock designs, from shirts to hoodies to long sleeve tees to stickers, so check all that out, link down below. Use code FRIDAY in all caps now through Monday for 30% off your entire order for Black Friday weekend. Hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving as we move on now into the Christmas season. Thank you guys again for watching. Until next time, I'll see you guys later.